So I had visualized the moment every day for many months. And so I did exactly what I had visualized, which was taking some deep breaths and reliving the visualization that I had done in my living room and just seeing it going off very well, very positively. And they're going to enjoy this. You're going to help them manifest significant amount of money. They're going to be so grateful and so it was very surreal, to be open with you. When I was standing on stage, it almost felt like I had done this already. It was deja vu. And I remember actually in the middle of the speech, I'm looking out, the bright lights, it's hard to see. It was like I was having an out-of-body experience. It was almost like I had already done this before. It was deja vu because I had practiced it. The speech itself, I had practiced 100 times. In my, all around my house, they recommend practicing in different, upstairs, downstairs, in front of a mirror, in your living room, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in front of Zoom, outside. And, in Hawaii, I was doing it in the hotel room, looking out over the ocean. We had an ocean view. So I was looking and practicing my speech. We got there 3 days early, so I'm practicing there. So yes, it was surreal and just, I was calm. I felt quite calm and confident.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have yet again another amazing author on the podcast, and this author is going to help you with your money. Oh, and he will help you in so many ways. He's got so many books, he's got courses, he's got a great website that kind of will be there as a resource for you. And if you just need somebody to sit with and to help you understand how to make miracles with your money, right? Joel? Joel's here. Joel, welcome to Living the Next Chapter.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here, David. I really appreciate you. It's an honor.
It's great. We had you on Dad Space, which was an amazing conversation around money and kids and how we as parents can be a good example to our kids and how our kids can learn great money lessons. So that was a great conversation. Everyone, the link will be in the show notes to go hear more of Joel. That was a great conversation, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
And you're back again. So now I'm doubly blessed to have you back again. For Joel, for the first people meeting you for the first time, though, here on this podcast, give a little introduction to who you are, where you are in this big world of ours. And then we're going to get into the conversation around your journey as an author.
So I am in New York, just a few minutes away from the greatest city in the world. I tell people I've lived in the state of New York my whole life, except for about a year and a half when I lived in Switzerland, which for those of you who don't know me, travel is one of my biggest passions in life. And it gave me the opportunity to travel to 30 countries about 25 years ago. So wow. That was awesome. But I've spent most of my life in the state of New York, in and around Manhattan, and currently in Westchester. But I go into the greatest city in the world at least once a week nowadays. I spent 30 years going into Manhattan every single day for work. And now I get to decide when I go in. And it's if you haven't been to Manhattan, highly recommend getting to Manhattan at least once in your life to see the Statue of Liberty or the Freedom Tower, the Empire State Building, or go to a Broadway show or walk around Central Park. There's so much and so much unique, and it's a melting pot for the world. I've met people from almost every country and every continent in Manhattan, either in a taxi cab or in a bar, in a restaurant. Waiters, it's just an amazing melting pot. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I call myself a prosperity coach. I'm a former hedge fund manager. I shut down my hedge fund in 2016 to coach. I have a long history in the finance industry. I started my career as an actuary, and some of you may know the difference between an actuary and an accountant. An actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you. An accountant looks at your feet when they talk to you.
I like that. That's good.
They say an accountant is an actuary with charisma, but I'm not the typical actuary. Some people say I do have a little bit of charisma. And and so I went through all those exams. That's what FSA stands for, Fellow of the Society of Actuaries. And after going through all those exams and spending almost 8 years doing them, I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. And I started thinking and reaching out to people who worked on Wall Street, actuaries who worked on Wall Street, and asked them how they got there, because my dream was to be a money manager. And all of them gave me doubt, massive doubt, ton of rejection. They said, there's no way you can get here. You're an actuary. Forget about it. And now I teach my clients #doubt the doubt. Have faith in your dreams. Don't have faith in your doubt. Have faith in your dreams. And finally, I found one guy who told me his path to get to Wall Street. And I followed it mostly. And 15 years later, mostly because of the doubt, that it took me 15 years to get there, I achieved my dream of becoming a hedge fund manager. I worked at Citigroup for 4 years. I had my own hedge fund for 4 years, and then I shut it down. And now I'm coaching people on money mindset. I'm coaching people on how to create money miracles, as you mentioned, manifest money. I have 9 specific manifestation techniques. And of course, I teach people how to invest. Rule number 8 in the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use is DIY investing. So I teach people how to invest either in the stock market or real estate, or if they want to reinvest in their business, I teach them that too, because I believe there's an infinite number of ways to become rich. And you were born to thrive, not survive. And we all came here to do that. And so there's many ways to do it. There's not just one. And the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because there was a guy at a personal development course I went to who stood up on a stage and said, there's only one way to get rich, and it's through stock options. And I'm going to teach you the way. And 200 people in the room, 50 people ran to the back of the room to sign up for his course. He made $50,000 in 1 hour by, what I will tell you, misleading, and some people may say lying to 200 people. And that hurt my heart so much, broke my heart so much, that the people were wasting their hard-earned money, that I shut down my hedge fund the next day.
Wow. The impact of that really changed your whole focus then, right? Wow. Okay, and then the one thing too, on top of all of this amazing stuff, what I love is how you've branded what you do today, and there's a special reason why you have the name you have for your company and who you are and your website, and people coming there for the first time. Tell us the name of your website and tell us the significance of the name you've chosen for what you're doing today.
So for those who are watching, you can see it's SALAURMOR.com. That's the name of my company, Salomon. And some people get confused and think it's my last name. It's not my last name. It's named after my daughters, LAUR for Lauren, MOR for Morgan. So it's SA, the first 2 letters of my last name, and then Laur for Lauren, Moore for Morgan.
Nice. And that makes perfect sense. And I love that you give a nod to your girls. That's a very nice dad thing to do. And that's why we had you on Dad Space as well. So I love that. Okay, so you have written a lot of books, a lot of great things, and then courses and on, right? Beyond the books themselves. Tell us a little bit about your journey as an author. I'm curious, because I haven't written anything to date, and I'm always get an opportunity to talk to authors. I'm like, how did this start for you? Because there must have been a point in time when writing a book was not even kind of on your plan, but now here you are with multiple books and all of this great resources for people. What was the origin for you to say, hey, capturing my thoughts and creating a book and helping people through my writing, where was the origin for all this to start for you?
Great question. So when I shut down my hedge fund and decided I was going to start coaching people, I jog every morning, and sometimes I get epiphanies when I jog. And I was jogging one morning, I said, I have a book already done. Because when I was a hedge fund manager, every month I would write a letter to my investors, and it would talk about how the markets did that month and how our hedge fund did that month. And I talk about a stock or talk about an idea. And it was 8 to 10 pages each month for 3+ years. I had about 360 pages already written. I figured I'd just put them together into a monthly book and write a little bit in front of each month what was going on in my personal life. So I traveled a lot with my daughters. And so I had my hedge fund from January 2013 to 2016. And so each month I wrote a letter, and I said, okay, I'll write a paragraph or a page about what was going on in my personal life in January 2013 and June, each month.
Yeah.
And I then said, okay, I'm done. It's almost 400 pages. It's a really thick book. And then I reached out to the lawyer for my hedge fund, and he said, you really shouldn't put the stock ideas in this book. And so there could be some legal issues around that. And I was like, okay, so I took those out, but it was still over 300 pages. And I said, okay, so I'll put the old stock ideas on my website. So I still had a very large book. And so I figured I'd reach out to my community that I knew from my hedge fund days and others, friends, and give them the quote unquote beta version of this book. And I got feedback. This is crap. Please don't show it to anyone else. No one's going to read it. No one wants to read this. I'm not sure I wanted to finish it. It was tough for me to finish. It's really boring. And that was my mom.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
But those were that was the feedback I got. And so I have a community. So I'm also an infinite possibilities trainer. So Mike Dooley wrote a bestseller called New York Times bestseller called Infinite Possibilities. I'm certified to teach the core concepts from that book. And he has a community of a few thousand people that have been certified to teach. And some of them are authors. So I reached out to that community. I said, anybody an author who wants to read? And a few people are authors. And one of the people who gave me that feedback was this woman who's a Amazon bestseller, and she was also quite critical. And she said, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you put the investor letters in the appendix or out of the book? Because most people don't. But the other stuff's really good. The paragraph or the page you wrote about your learnings, about your travels with your daughters. It's very interesting, and it had some really good insights in there." And I said, "But that's not the book." Anyway, so I took the investor letters to the appendix, and she said, just 3 weeks, just don't do anything on the book. Come back in 3 weeks, ruminate on it and consider. And so I did. And I said, you know what, she's right. And so I put them in the appendix, and I rewrote that first book, and it became Mindful Money Management. And it was the lessons I learned as a hedge fund manager during some quite difficult times at Citi in 2008 when the market was down 40%, and how I managed to make money that year, and how I dealt with the difficulties on a day-to-day basis when, back then, if I lost money, I was sad. And if I made money, I was happy. And it's a terrible way to live your life. Because even if you're a really amazing money manager, you're losing money half the time.
True.
So, and I was about average. So, okay, I'm sad half the time. So I learned a lot of different psychological, mental techniques to work on myself so that I was in a state that I could help my investors make money no matter what. So that was Mindful Money Management. And once that came out, I really didn't, I can tell you about a lot of things I've learned since then. But the first book, I didn't really understand the whole getting testimonials, marketing the book, structuring the book cover, all the inside baseball of making sure it's a bestseller. Now I understand how to make a book a bestseller. And so all of that I learned in the process of produce and then actually getting on podcasts to actually to talk about books. I wasn't doing this back in 2018 when my first book came out. And then somebody said to me, so how are you going to promote it? What podcasts have you been on? And I was like, okay. So,
hey, what's a podcast? Right. Yeah.
It was almost like that.
Yeah.
And in the other issue was in 2017, my biggest fear in life was public speaking.
Really?
So I did not want to get on doing any promotional things back in 2017 when I was writing my book. And I did overcome that fear by 2018 by joining Toastmasters. I did 100 speeches in 2017 and 2018 at Toastmasters. And after the first book came out, I tiptoed into speaking on podcasts and in person at Rotary clubs and Lions clubs and chambers of commerce and eventually got more and more comfortable speaking. And last year I did my TEDx talk. So I have progressed pretty dramatically since 2017 to overcome that fear. So there was a lot of things I learned in the process of the first book that I was able to utilize when the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use came out. And the reason why I wrote that book was to be open with your viewers. I held a lot back when writing my first book because I was fearful. One of my second biggest fear in life was the fear of criticism. The fear of people, the haters coming out and saying, oh, this is crap. Well, why did you ever write a book? Right. Yeah. And so I didn't really open the kimono fully, as it were, and tell the full stories, the painful stories. And some people who read the first book said to me, there's a lot of great ideas in here. You should structure it as a rule book. And there's so many great ideas that helped you to become successful and to produce and generate a lot of money. What would be the top 5 or 10 things? And so I started writing down those ideas, which a lot of them were between the lines or chapters in mindful money management. And that's how the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use came about. And so it was pulling out the rules in that book and then structuring it so that it was a rule book, and then going and actually opening up the kimono and telling the full stories about, how my youngest daughter, when Morgan was a few months old, she had to go to the emergency room, and how I dealt with that when, you're dealing with the markets and there's other stuffs going on in life that you have to deal with, and how you can be grateful. Like, that's one of the rules, being grateful for what you have. That, now I'm so grateful that she's alive and healthy and happy and intelligent and about to go to college. And so, how do you change your perspective in life so that, it's not about just making the money?
Yeah.
Right.
Take us through a little bit of your TEDx talk. We'll put a link in the show notes for people to go and watch that as well. But kind of what was the idea behind the TEDx talk? Give us some behind the scenes of preparing for that and what you were addressing in that.
Thank you for asking that. So the TEDx talk is 2 specific techniques that people can use to create money miracles in their life. It's called How to Create Money Miracles. And so how did that come about? It was getting me out of my comfort zone. And so when I get signs, I listen to them. And there were 3 people in my network in the end of 2021 into 2022 who had heard me speak and said, you should do a TEDx talk. And within like 3 months, 3 different people. And I was like, where is this coming from? What, me? What? They said, no, you have some really important material that people need to hear, and they need to hear it from you because of mixing the process and strategy, and the spiritual aspects will be very helpful for people. And so I went about the process of saying, okay, I can't do this alone. 99% of people who apply for a TEDx talk fail. And so I need to get some support. So the 3 people who recommended that I do a TEDx talk also recommended different coaching programs. 2 recommended the same one. And that was Taylor Conroy's Thought Leader TEDx speaking coaching program.
Good.
And I think now he's been able to help over 500 people get up on stage. Yes. And he himself, I think, has done at least 3. And so I decided, okay, 2 people from 2 different walks, out of the 3 people, 2 recommended the same person. I'll check it out. I joined his coaching program. And the great thing about the coaching program was he knows what the type of speech you need, the arc of the speech, in order to get it approved by the TEDx coordinators. So there's a structure that he recommends of the speech. And then the other really positive part of the coaching program is he teaches what I teach, which is visualize yourself being up on stage. So rule number 3 in the 9 money rules, rule number 4 in the 9 money rules is visualization. Can visualization help you become financially free? And he teaches visualization. And so it really resonated with me, his teachings. And so that was a big part of it. The other was he has in his program a Google sheet that updates the different venues around the globe. And then you can sort it and say, okay, I want to speak at a English speaking site whose theme is around spirituality or money or prosperity. And you can sort it. And then I want to do it. Okay, I'm going to be prepared 3 months from now. So let's look at July of 2024 and July to September. Those are and so it's real. And then the other thing he did is he had these, what he called apathons, application. So you got on a Zoom call with somebody who was supporting you, and you'd apply to 3 to 5 different venues. And they'd be like, okay, so how many did you get done in the hour? Okay, come on next week and do another. And so it was a great, really supportive community of people. And the whole system was very supportive. And so I applied to 38 different venues in 2022, and I got approved at 2. And I went to Kauai to give my TEDx talk, and I also got approved at Cole Park, Texas, and the Cole Park, Texas one went live first. And so you can't have the same talk be live at the same time. So that one got uploaded and was approved last April.
Good. Amazing. So we can go check that out. Give us a little behind the scenes of you in the moment. How did you personally prepare for that? There's authors thinking, I want to be on a TEDx speaker myself, but walking up on stage, seeing that big TEDx logo and the crowd sitting in front of you, what's going through Joel's mind as you begin your talk? Just as we listen and watch, we're like, oh, that's what it felt like in the moment to be there doing that. What was it like?
So I had visualized the moment every day for many months. And
Good.
so I did exactly what I had visualized, which was taking some deep breaths and reliving the visualization that I had done in my living room and just seeing it going off very well, very positively.
Good.
And no, and in the I actually had a not only a visualization but also a recording that I listened to every morning of myself saying, um, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. You're about to go up on stage. You're on stage. You're in front of the people. You're smiling. You're confident. You're about to impact tens of thousands of people right now, and they're gonna enjoy this. You're gonna help them manifest significant amount of money. They're gonna be so grateful and think doing. And so I was it was very surreal, to be open with you. When I was standing on stage, it almost felt like I had done this already. It was deja vu. And I remember actually in the middle of the speech, I'm looking out, the bright lights, it's hard to see. And I, it was like I was having an out of body experience. It was almost like
Yeah.
I had already done this before. It was deja vu
Yeah.
because I had practiced it. The speech itself, I had practiced 100 times in my all around my house. They recommend practicing in different, upstairs, downstairs, in front of a mirror, in your living room, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in front of
Yeah.
Zoom, outside. And, in Hawaii, I was doing it in the hotel room, looking out over the ocean. We had
Beautiful.
an
Yeah.
ocean view. So I was looking and practicing my speech. We got there 3 days early, so I'm practicing there. So yes, it was surreal and just I was calm. I felt quite calm and confident.
In comparison, compare that experience of you speaking to the audience compared to what you talked about earlier, where you're in that room and someone's up on stage misleading people, having them sign up for something that's gave you a really bad feeling. You're there to do the opposite in that moment. You're there to help people, right? So your motives were pure in that moment. So you're there to help,
Yep.
right? You're not there to swindle somebody or misdirect somebody. So in that moment, there's got to be some confidence just in the message you're sharing as well.
Yes, and I actually told the story in the speech about
Good.
how the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because of him. And, in some ways, I'm grateful for having gone to that personal development course and he not being authentic, him misleading people, because it it made me move to a place where I was more of service. I was of service as a hedge fund manager, but someone asked me just yesterday when I was networking, so, how does it feel compared to being a hedge fund manager? I'd never met this guy, but I met him at a networking group event, but never one to one. And I said, look, um, I feel that I'm making an impact every day. And it's personal, right? I went on a call with this woman who was really struggling yesterday and gave her I give everybody 30 minutes free. So we got on a call and she got some nice tips, I think, that can help her move forward and not be stuck anymore, and
Good.
techniques and tools. And that wasn't happening when I was the hedge fund manager. Yeah, I had a great idea, made a large institution a lot of money, or made a high net worth individual more money, but I didn't really see the impact. And I didn't
Yeah.
even know, like, it was a rounding error probably especially
Yeah.
to the insurance company. They have billions
Yeah.
and billions of dollars to manage. I was managing like 1% of their assets. Even if I doubled their money, it would be 1%, right? So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
weren't seeing it, they weren't feeling it. And the same thing, like if I had high net worth individuals' money. Maybe I was managing 10% of their money. It just wasn't moving the needle for most people, except for me, because I had all my net worth
Yeah.
except for my retirement money in the fund. So anyway, the point being, like, now what I'm doing is so much more valuable, and I feel that I'm making a difference on a daily basis.
That's great. You mentioned people having time with you in your calendar. So is that through the website?
Yep.
And kind of explain to us about that, how that works? Because I'm sure there's somebody listening to this going, this is perfect. I have Joel's books, and I didn't realize I could actually speak to the author of the books I've been reading. So now I can actually have time with you and ask some questions of you. Talk us through the process of meeting with you. What kind of questions do you like to ask people when you meet them for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Give us a sense of what that's like. And again, is that through the website?
Yes, it's so if you go to SALAURMOR.com, Salomon.com, and you go into the website, just scroll down a little bit, it'll say sign up for your free prosperity coaching call. And you click on that, and you'll just sign up on my calendar. And it might take a few weeks. Usually I'm booked up a couple of 2 or 3 weeks out, but it's fine. Just pick a time that works for you. And you'll find that my questions are, I'm here to serve. So I'll ask questions like, tell me your biggest money challenge right now. And then we'll get into it. A lot of what I teach and give in those 30 minutes are techniques and tools around mindset. Because, I teach investing, I teach manifesting, but my belief is that if you don't have the right mindset, you're going to be buying when you should be selling and selling when you should be buying. And most people, when they have investments, if they have a financial advisor, financial planner, they have their own investments, they have not asked themselves the question, what's my belief level that I'm going to make money or become rich with this investment? From 1 to 10, where 10 is absolute faith and 1 is massive doubt. Because if you're not a 7, 8, 9, or 10, then because your belief level is so low, you become emotional.
Yeah.
And you're going to be buying when you should be selling and selling when you should be buying. So writing down what your belief level is very important. I don't know too many people who do that. And so that's just a very simple technique you can do. But it's mindset first, right?
Yeah.
It's belief. The rule number 1 in the 9 money rules is when you believe.
Good. And I see you have testimonials as well on your website. Any testimonials that come to mind as we chat today that are meaningful for you, that people maybe you've worked with have seen significant change in their finances by reading the books, being part of your course, and being part of your community? Any kind of stories stand out for you that we could share, or just that would encourage somebody that it is possible for you to change your future?
Great question. Thank you again. So two stand out. One is a woman a few years ago who was literally about to send her daughter to her parents because she didn't have enough money to feed her daughter. She was a single mom, and she's living in Florida, and she literally didn't have enough money. I think she had $60 for the last 9 days of the month.
Wow.
And she jumped on a call with me, and we created some techniques. Now, she did have to send her daughter to her parents, so her daughter spent some time with the grandparents for some months. And so we created some techniques. And to me, it's mindset and action, right? You're not going to just meditate and visualize all day, right? You have to get out into the world and take some action. I gave her some connections where she could find a job. But it's also the mindset of, believing that she's going to be able to create enough abundance so that she could bring her daughter back to live with her shortly. And so in just a few months, by using a number of the techniques in the book, we created specialized affirmations just for her so that she could say these words that she believed in, because that's really important. Saying stuff you don't believe in is creating resistance.
Yeah.
If you say, I am financially free all day long, and you don't believe it, your ego is saying, that's BS. Come on. No way. Yeah. So it's not doing anything. But if you say, I'm becoming, or I allow myself to become financially free in the near future, whatever words that soften it enough that you can believe in, that's okay. Or if you say, I am a money magnet, and you don't believe it, I'm on my way to becoming a money magnet, or I allow myself to be a money magnet. So we did individualized affirmations. I had her work really hard on, not work really, I don't want to say work hard, because I don't believe working hard creates abundance. It's working smarter, more productively. But she did she took action steps so that she found a job. She was having income coming in. She got surprise monies coming in as well. And doing these affirmations, visualizing, and then taking these action steps, within 6 months, she was able to bring her daughter back. And last year, she actually took a vacation, which is mind blowing to me, that she was able to, had enough money that she could actually take her daughter, to a hotel in Florida.
Nice.
And so that was a big win. She joined my Money Miracles membership as well. And she also manifested using one of my techniques over $10,000 last year. And for her, that was, life-changing.
Yeah.
So that's on the one side of the scale. Another side of the scale is I teach I teach investing, I teach business coaching. I had a woman come to me last year who's actually a mindset coach, but she's not a money mindset coach, and she wasn't making much money in her business. And I gave her some specific techniques in her business to work on her money mindset, and then also strategies so that she could focus. She had many different programs. So we got her to focus in her business. We got her to increase her prices, work on her affirmations to know that she's worthy of these higher prices. And she tripled her monthly revenues while working with me last year. Wow. And finally, there was a guy who came to me many years ago. I guess it was 5-6 years ago. And he wanted to learn everything I know about the stock market. It was interesting because he has poverty consciousness. He was very much in lack. He hadn't bought new boots in 3 years. He hadn't taken a vacation in 20 years. Yeah. And his family all lives in one room. It was very much lack and scarcity. But he believed that he could become rich using stocks. And he reached out to me and said, I want to learn. He knew nothing. He was an auto mechanic. And he was doing that for 20 years, had some money saved, and he wanted to learn my techniques that are in the book. By the way, I have a 5-step stock screen, proprietary stock screen in the book. I also have a 7-step real estate screen in the book. And he reached out to me and we started working together, and he got really good at using my technique, my 5-step stock screen. We used some advanced techniques as well. And in 2022, he generated over $3 million in the stock market. He's now financially free. And he has, the most important thing is he shifted his scarcity and lack mindset to abundance and prosperity mindset. I taught him how to splurge, to care, to do things for his family, to spend money, and not, and he's got new shoes.
There you go. So it works, is what you're telling me. At the end of the day, Joel, all of this works if you're willing to put in the effort, right? And be committed to the results.
Yes. I say, look, when you're working with me, you got to be all in. right?
Yeah.
You want to make this work. Like I have a 3-month coaching program, right? One-on-one coaching as well as my membership. But if you join the membership and you do one-on-one coaching, you have to come in and say, okay, I want to change. I want the outcomes that, I want to feel, I don't want to ever feel the same about money again. That has to be a major outcome. And you have to want it. And you have to believe that it's going to happen, right? Belief is rule number 1. You have to believe that it's going to happen. And then you have to put in the effort.
Yeah. It's great. Joel, there's so much great stuff here. And again, I love the idea that this all kind of comes from a place of seeing people kind of misled financially. And you're like, wait, I could do something about this. I'm going to make a difference. And that's my focus. And it comes through in how you talk about what you do, what you write about, how you coach. You're there to help people and direct them in the right way. And we need more Joels in the world, which would be great. But yeah, so Joel, as far as the website again, and then maybe what would be your suggested first book of your books to purchase for a new reader coming to you? What would be your suggestion? But take us again to the website, and then like how we connect with you about coaching as well.
So the website is salamour.com. That's SALAURMOR.com. You can sign up there for 30 minutes free. I have a number of courses that I teach online. That's an online course that doesn't involve me personally. I also have live courses as well. And, they start out at very reasonable prices, less than $100 and then they go up from there. And, so the main book is the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. That's where I'd start. And I have a course that's based on that book that's online that after you read the book, you can take that course. And we go through, it has exercises for each rule. So I do a video and then there's a exercise, a worksheet that you can download. And then you do the exercise. I take you through each exercise. There's 9 different exercises you can do based on the 9 money rules. And then we can go a lot deeper. I have a more advanced course. I have a live course that I teach. That's a 9-week course twice a year. The next one will be in September. And so that's available. But I would start with that one. I haven't mentioned book number 3, which is Infinite Love and Money. So if there are any couples who are watching or you've ever had a conflict with your partner, Infinite Love and Money is the book to read because, I wrote that book. Again, I had an epiphany jogging one morning when I was coaching one of my one-on-one coaching clients. And he said to me the day before when we started to talk about budgeting and cash flow, I said, at the next call, your wife should be on the call. And he said, no, she doesn't need to get involved. She knows nothing about the money situation in this household. So there's no reason. And I was like, whoa, that's not good. And so that became the impetus for Infinite Love and Money. I wrote it with a relationship coach, Molly Singh. And the idea is to end divorce caused by money. So if you've ever had any conflicts around money, and maybe you're not even married yet, maybe you're thinking about getting married, you're a couple, you and your partner want to communicate better around money. This is the book for that. Good. And then I'm currently writing a book called Purpose and Prosperity with a purpose coach, because I truly believe that everyone has a purpose here on earth, as she does. And Jackie Roberge is actually a Canadian from Montreal. And so we both believe that everyone came here on earth to thrive, and they can thrive doing their purpose. There's many limiting beliefs out there that, if I do what I love, then I'm not going to be able to make a lot of money at it. And we're dispelling that limiting belief in this book. She has an amazing group of exercises that'll come out in the next 9 to 12 months. And as every author who's watching and listening knows, this is a birthing process to the book. So we're done writing, but now there's the editing and the book cover and the marketing and setting that all up. So that it'll be coming out in the next 12 months.
Awesome. Joel, thank you so much for doing Dad Space with me, sharing your dad's story, and then jumping over here on Living the Next Chapter as well. And just how you present yourself in this world, Joel. You're helping so many people. I'm privileged to have you in my Rolodex now. People are like, what's a Rolodex, Dave? You're in my connections, and I'm so happy to have you as part of my community as well. Joel, thank you for making time to share your thoughts with us and your expertise. And everyone, please go check out the show notes. Everything we talked about will be there for Joel. And check out his TEDx. Make sure you go and give that a view as well and support Joel on his journey from learning how to be a speaker to being up on stage in front of the bright lights. Joel, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks so much, David. I appreciate you.
Hey, well, thank you for listening. It's a new year, and we're excited to be releasing even more great episodes of Living the Next Chapter, and we want you to come along for the journey. Thank you for being here. If you know of an author that you would love to have featured on the podcast, an author that you enjoy, an author that brings you that excitement, that you would just love to hear them interviewed on this podcast, I would love to hear your suggestion for a future guest. And what would be a question or two that you would want us to ask them on your behalf? Go to livinginthenextchapter.com. There's a little speak pipe icon there. You can leave me a voice message. Tell me who should be on the show and give me some question ideas. And I'll use your request and reach out to that author and invite them on and give you full credit for the idea. livinginthenextchapter.com. Would love to hear your suggestion. And thank you for listening. Catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, fellow parent. If you're anything like me, balancing screen time for our kids is a constant struggle. That's why I want to share a little secret with you, KidsPod. It's this amazing app I found that's packed with podcasts just for kids. Imagine stories, learning, and fun, all without the screen. It's been a game changer in our house, keeping my kids engaged and their imaginations running wild. And guess what? It's completely free. So download KidsPod today. Trust me, it's a decision you won't regret.